Welcome to So This Works, a brand new lifestyle and business podcast about the importance of a great work-life balance. My name is Marcus Lee and I'm your host, and over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to introduce the podcast and tell you what inspired it, all with the hope of inspiring you to live the best life you can. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode 1. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to So This Works, the podcast about work-life balance. It's about the life of business and the business of life. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to take part in this podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you are listening, you can also watch it as a video version on the likes of YouTube. YouTube, you can also stick it on audio and play it in your car or listen to it on the train or bus. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. My name is Marcus Lee. I'm from a company called Real Street Productions, and what I do is I do video production. So whether you need to produce a video about your company, whether you want to produce a show reel, if you're an actor or a performer, if you're a musician and you want to do a music video, that is the kind of thing that I do. I help people to turn their dreams into videos. Also, I do photography as well. So if you're looking for website photography, if you're getting married and you want to take some wonderful pictures that you remember for the rest of your life, I'm your guy. I'm the person that's going to help you to make that happen. But to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm Marcus. I'm from Bradford in West Yorkshire. I am currently 38 years old, and yeah, I moisturise, so hopefully I'm going to try and look as young and as beautiful as I can. But I've always lived in Bradford. I love Bradford. I'm Bradford born and bred, but I love West Yorkshire. And I wanted to do a podcast to reach out to people, to inspire them to live the best life they can. If you're a business person, if you're self-employed, or if you run a company with lots of employees, you know how important it is and how much of your life you invest in that business. And that's great. And it's important to do the things that you love. But I think it's also important to sometimes put some of those things aside and think about, are you really enjoying your life? Is there a way that you can live better? Is work overtaking what you do? Can you work smarter? Can you be better at what you do? So this podcast, what I will do is, obviously I'm talking to you today, but from time to time, from week to week, each week I will have a guest on. So each week I'll have on a business person, a person who maybe manages a charity, a person who coaches others in life, or a person who's just found a way to live their best life they can, and talk about their story, their journey, about how they've learned to work smarter, to find out what works for them, to find out about their failures. What have they failed at? What made them then turn that around and work better? Because sometimes it's really good to hear about how people have failed in certain areas. It's not so you can laugh at them, but it's learning about how they started something, how they failed, and how they picked themselves up, and how they started working better. So that's the idea of this podcast. The podcast will generally be around 30 minutes. I'm saying that now. That might change week to week. Maybe one week it'll be 20 minutes. Maybe the next week it'll be an hour of absolute awesomeness and wonder, who knows, but the goal is that these are sort of 30-minute podcasts. I think it's really important to talk with people and be honest and learn from them, learn from their failures, learn what made them turn those failures around, what helped them to work smarter, work better. You're going to hear me say, work smarter and live smarter a lot, because I think that's what we really need to do. So that is the idea of this podcast. So to give you a little bit more about myself and how I became a self-employed person. So I left school with GCSEs. I went to do my A-levels. I didn't do very well in my A-levels because at 16, I spent most of my time looking at girls, sat on the radiators at college, didn't really engage much. I'd kind of switched off. By the age of sort of 16, 17, I decided that I didn't want to go to university. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to write lyrics. My inspirations at the time were Eminem, DMX, Tupac, the Notorious B.I.G., for anyone who recognizes those names in music. I love music and I wanted to do that. So I didn't, concentrate when it came to communication studies. I didn't, which you should do. I didn't concentrate in IT or anything else. I decided that I wanted to be a musician. So I didn't go to university. I spent my time writing songs. And when I left sixth form, having failed all of my A levels, I went straight into a call center job at NatWest. So I worked in a NatWest call center full time, working 8 till 4 or 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. shifts, sat on the phone answering 100 calls a day. Hated it. Terrible. But I did that job, and then I went into several other call center jobs, always on the side, wanting to do music, writing demos, making CDs to send off to music labels, trying to get a recording deal. Fast forward, it never happened. I spent a lot of time doing jobs I hated, did that for about 7 or 8 years, just working in jobs I didn't like. Also, did the young person thing of getting into debt, getting credit cards, getting store cards, falling into debt, not understanding what APR meant, which meant often in my early 20s, I often had 2 jobs. So I often had my regular 9 to 5, but then I'd have an evening job on top of that. I worked at Domino's pizza delivery on top of my 9 to 5 for many years, being a delivery driver. I always seem to have 2 jobs on the go. And around the age of 25, 26, I started doing music workshops. So I started doing music workshops where I'd use the rap, lyrical, musical skills that I'd spent years working on, trying to teach other young people about rap music. So trying to take some of those negative stereotypes that are sometimes associated with music, try to take those away, talking to young people and saying, look, we're going to help you to write a song. We're going to help you to tell your story using hip hop music. And it was great. I did that alongside my full-time job. So I had my full-time job where I worked in a college. I worked in administration. Wasn't particularly exciting, but it was a decent job. It helped to improve my credit rating. But from time to time, I would take days off, or I'd work in evenings or weekends. And me and a friend called Philip Charles, we would go into schools, go into community centres, and we would do music workshops. It got to a point, I want to say I was 26 years old, when I just realised that the 9 to 5 job that I was in, as good as it was from a financial point of view, it was killing my spirit, because in that job, there was no real possibility of progression. I wasn't going to get anywhere. There was no sense of climbing the career ladder or anything like that. And Philip at this time he'd given up his full-time job, and he decided, right, I'm doing the workshops full-time. The music workshops, that's all he's doing. And then probably about 9 months after he did that, I also decided, right, I have to take a leap of faith here as well, because I can't stay in this job. I hate this job. It's killing me. It's killing me. So I quit the job and started doing music workshops. But I also started doing video production workshops as well. The year before I quit my job, my sister had got married, so I filmed her wedding. And I edited her wedding. Video production had become a bit of a hobby then, so I started doing more of that. And from time to time, I'd do a video project, or I started making funny films with friends, and started doing other things like that. And people started saying, hey, how much do you charge for this? You know, if I wanted you to do a video, if I wanted you to film this event, how much would you charge? And I thought, I'd not really thought of charging for that before. I know it sounds stupid, but I just hadn't thought of that. But in 2007, I got to a place where I thought, right, okay, I think I can now take this leap of faith. I'm going to say goodbye to my 9 to 5. I'm going to say goodbye to my guaranteed income each month that I get, paid for weekly, and I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to become self-employed. And I can remember being really scared doing it, really frightening, really frightened. But I did it. And I can remember after I gave my notice in, obviously, you know, we can all take leaps of faith, and our levels of faith are at different levels. And some people say this is wise and some people say this is stupid. But when I left my full-time job, I had my wage. I had 1 month's wage saved. And I had one job that was worth £150. So I was leaving work knowing that for a month I was all right, and I had one contract worth 150 quid, and that was it. And I can remember being sat at home in my spare room, which I used as an office at the time, thinking, right, what do I do? How do I get more work in? Long story short, fast forward that. I put myself out there, I got some work in, and probably within about 3 months of leaving my full-time job, I was all right. I had contracts in, I had jobs booked in, people who wanted some youth work, a video project involving young people, or someone who was getting married and wanted their wedding to be covered. And yeah, I thought, right, I'm going to be all right now. And one of the things that I loved at the time is I'd gone from a 9 to 5, having to be in work at 8:30, and sometimes, a manager looking at you funny if you arrive at 8:31, looking at the clock and giving you all the dirty looks in the world. Even though that I'd stay till 5 o'clock and I'd work until 5:10 or 5:15, but that never seemed to matter, but there you go. So I'd gone from that to being able to more or less choose my own hours, being able to decide when I woke up in the morning, what time I started work. And I found that I was doing workshops. I'd do a 2-hour workshop. I'd make a decent amount of cash, and then the rest of the day was mine. So I found that I'd gone from doing this 9 to 5, where I had a set lunch break, 1 o'clock till 1:30, or 1 till 2 o'clock if I was feeling like I really wanted to enjoy it to its full measure, to thinking, right, it's 3 p.m. in the day, I'm off to the cinema. I'm off to the cinema in the middle of the day. I love movies, which is something I'll tell you about, but my time was my own. And that sense of freedom and being self-employed, I absolutely loved it. It was one of the best decisions I feel I ever made. Probably the reason why now I say to anyone who does a job that they don't massively enjoy, I think, do your best to get out of that job. Do your best to find something that you love doing, because we spend 40 hours a week. We tend to spend 40 hours a week, every week of our working lives at work in a job that we have to do in order to make a living. You might as well enjoy it. If you're going to do that for 40, 45 years of your life, depending what happens with retirement ages, 50 years of your life, 60 years of your life, you want to enjoy what you do on a daily basis. So that's really important. So that's what I did. So Reel Street Productions is now 12 years old. I picked the name Reel Street because reel, R-E-E-L, is like a film reel. Street because it was kind of youthful and cool. And Productions because it's a production company. So Reel Street Productions was born. 12 years on, I'm really happy with the past 12 years. It's been great. I've seen some wonderful things. I've got to take part in some fantastic opportunities. I've got to travel to some places that I never thought I'd be able to see. I've been able to work abroad. I've been able to work up and down the UK. I've been able to, meet some wonderful people and do it all in jeans as well. When I used to go to work in a shirt and tie and trousers and shoes. Now I get to have fun. I get to be casual. I get to be relaxed. I love my work. I love what I do. And if I do it for the rest of my life, I'll be really happy. And that's where I think you should be. I think for me, to go back to the title of the podcast, this works. So this works for me. And it's about finding out what works for you. So going back to this idea of work-life balance, like I said, this podcast is all about talking about balancing the two, juggling the two. Work-life balance is simply how much of your life involves work and how much of it is your personal life, because often we try and separate the two. So you have your working life where you go to a job, maybe 9 to 5, maybe you spend 8 hours a day doing a job. For a lot of people, it's a job that they don't massively enjoy, but they do it because it pays the bills and it allows them to do the things that they enjoy. And the things that they enjoy are in that home personal life section. So that is the home life section. So, you have your work life, then you come home and you have your home life, your personal private life. Your home life consists of your family, your children, your friends, your home comforts, your favorite armchair, your favorite TV programs, your holidays. That is your home section, okay? But the problem for a lot of people is that work-life thing, they don't always balance the way that they should. So there'll be a lot of people who can relate to this. Either you know someone, or maybe you are this person who you give your life to work. You're a workaholic. You enjoy work, or you're heavily invested in your work. Maybe you're the CEO of a company. Maybe you give much more than 40 hours a week to your work. Maybe you're a 60-hour, 70-hour, 80-hour a week person. Maybe that's who you are. Okay, cool. That's who you are. That's life right now. And that's all right when you're starting something, or that's okay when it's just you and you're fully invested. The problem I see that is when it overtakes your personal private life, or it means that your personal private life is in danger of being destroyed. I say this because a couple of years ago, I got married. I've been married for 2 years now. My wife is called Pamela, and she's absolutely gorgeous. She's everything I could ever hope or dream of. I'm saying all of this to get extra brownie points with her. But I got married and my life changed. Quite simply because my life wasn't all about me anymore. And it's not to say that my life was all about me before and I was selfish, but I only had to think about looking after me, really. As a single person, my life is my life. But then someone else comes along and you have to share your life, and you have to share a home, and you share your finances, and you share what you're doing at the weekend and who you're going to see and the things that you're going to spend your money on. You share your life. So initially, when I was a single person, as a self-employed person, I could work all of the hours that I wanted to. I don't have children. I don't have any other major family commitments. So if I wanted to work a 70-hour week, if I wanted to work all of the evenings, if I wanted to work weekends, or come home and spend more time on my laptop, working away on my computer, focusing on work, I could do that. That all changed when I got married, because all of a sudden now I can't spend Friday night working on my laptop, because I have a wife who wants to talk to me and hang out with me, and she likes being around me. So cool, fine, fair enough. But then I have to change how I work and how I operate. And what I've seen with people who've gone before me, friends of friends who they've given the best years of their life to a company, to an organization. They are workaholics. They work all of the hours that God sends. And I've seen people who've done that and then seen their marriages deteriorate. I've seen that they're distant from their children. I see that they're missing out on enjoying life. And that, to me, it's a crime. It's terrible. It's really sad seeing that. And what's worse is I've seen people who've given the best years of their life to a company, thinking that I'm devoted to this company, I love this company, I work hard for this company. But then that boss of that company has just eventually said, actually, we don't need you anymore. Or, yeah, we need to make some redundancies, so we've got to let you go. See you later. Goodbye. Thanks for all you've done. But there's the door. See you later. But those people who've done that and they've given their best years, they've dedicated themselves to a company, and the company's just shooed them out, but their marriage suffered, or their kids suffered. Their kids suffered, and you think, well, was it worth it? Was it worth it for maybe a bit of a bonus that year? Was it worth it to lose out on your partner or that relationship with your kids? Not at all. And I think what's really important, again, go back to that work-life thing, is you really need to learn to balance the two. I think it's ideal if you can do a job that you enjoy, that gives you flexibility, that allows you to see family, that allows you to see your kids when you need to do that, that allows you to be as flexible as possible and do that, as opposed to being in something that's really strict and tough and regimented. Because life's for living. Life's for enjoying. We all know how short life is. I'm sure we've all lost someone close to us at some point. And if you haven't, unfortunately, it's going to happen. And even if it's someone that you lose who is much older than you, you think, wow, well, I wish I had more time with them now. Or I wish I'd spent more time with them when I had them with me. So life is short. And I have this thing of, when I die, I want to lie on my deathbed surrounded by my loved ones. I don't want to be surrounded by large amounts of money that I've made. I don't want to be surrounded by the legacy of a well-known company. I don't want to be surrounded by contracts and mergers and a large social media following and followers who are all sending me, sorry you're dying. Hope you get well. You won't, but hope you get well. I want to be surrounded by my loved ones. I want to be surrounded by family. Those are the things that you want to dedicate your life to. So it really is about finding what works for you, what works best for you. Live your life. Live the best life you can. Don't give it away to someone for the sake of an extra $5,000 a year. Who cares? So what? It's just money. money comes and goes, and money doesn't make you happy. I've had periods in my life where I've had lots of money, but in those periods of life when I've had lots of money and I've had no one around to share that with, it's actually quite sad. It's lonely. I've had periods in my life where I think, right, I'm just going to go shopping today because I'm bored. What else can I do? I'll go shopping in Leeds. I'll go shopping in Manchester. I'll go shopping wherever. I'll go spend some money. I'll go buy things that I don't really massively need, but I can afford it, so I'll just buy it. But that's rubbish when you've got no one to share that with. When you've got no... It's not just about a partner. It's about having friends and loved ones around you that you can share that with. Money comes and goes. Loved ones don't. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that because I can go on about that stuff all day and I'll ramble. I don't want to ramble at you. The other thing I want to talk to you about is networking. As business people, we all know that networking is a really important thing. You can't meet people without networking, without contacting people, without looking someone in the eye, without shaking someone's hand, without, having phone conversations, without, being in touch with other people. You need to network. It's all networking. And from time to time, I network as well. I'll be honest with you, I go through periods where I do lots of networking. I go through periods where I barely do any. Generally those periods where I barely do any networking, it's because I'm very, very busy and I just don't have the time to do it. But it's something that I do need to do all the time. And sometimes, if I'm being really honest with you, I should do more of, and I know I should do more of it. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best at networking. I'll go networking. I think I'm quite a warm, friendly person, but I don't get excited by it, if I'm really honest. If you see me in a networking event next time, you're going to look at me and think, well, you don't even like networking him, so why is he here? But when I go networking, I can smile at people, I can shake hands, I can be friendly, I will listen to what people do, but I'm really not the best at it. The reason being is, when we go networking, we go to sell ourselves, we go to sell our services, we go to sell what we do for other people. We want to make money, we want to generate leads, we want people to like us so that they will invest in what we do. But when you go networking, everyone else is doing that as well. Everyone's doing that. If I go to a networking event with 10 other people, they are all there to sell themselves. They want me to take their card and then go tell other people about what they do. And that's what I want as well. I want people to tell other people about what I do. That is the thing about networking. But business people, just be honest with me. How many times have you gone to a networking event and someone has started telling you what they do and you've nodded? For the people listening to the audio podcast, I'm nodding. And you're nodding and you're going, yeah, that's great. Oh, that's interesting. But truth is, you're not taking any of that in. They're doing a service that has nothing to do with you, and you're not interested because it doesn't float your boat. You're waiting to talk about what you do so you can sell to them, or they will be blown over by your amazing insight and wisdom, and they'll take your card and then they'll go off and sell things, or they'll say, oh yeah, I could do your services right now, actually. Yeah, here's $5,000. Yeah, that doesn't happen. But here's why I don't think it works well, those scenarios. I don't think those scenarios work well. Because when you go and you just tell people about how great you are and how amazing you are, everyone else there has done that. And it's boring and it's generic and it's expected, and it's like, right, I'm going to go to a networking event, I'm going to listen to 20 people tell me about how wonderful they are. Great. That doesn't work. Here's what I think works. The networking events that I've gone to and that I've got the most out of is when I've met people, shook hands, said, hiya, how are you doing? What do you do? But then I've started to learn a little bit about them. I've started to genuinely learn about not just what they do for a business, but about them as a person. I like football. I'll reveal my favourite football team in a moment. But I like football. So if I go somewhere, I go to a networking event and someone says, oh yeah, well, yeah, I'm also a football fan and I was watching this game on Saturday. Something in me goes, oh, all right, okay. Yeah, I like football too. Who do you support? Who's your team? Oh yeah, what do you think of this signing? What do you think of that game? Because then you're not talking about business anymore. You're talking about their hobby. Alternatively, it might be about movies. I love movies. I'll tell you about movies in a second. So they might be talking about a film that they've just watched. I might have watched that film. Right, we've got something in common now. They might be talking about a TV program they've just watched. Oh, maybe I watched that TV program. Or maybe they've got a favourite Netflix show or whatever. It's just finding something that's relatable outside of just talking about business. So the thing to do is to build a rapport with people, because people get so bored of listening to someone talk about their services and they mention 12 things that mean nothing to me. I can talk about things about video production, about, codecs and file sizes and formats. And to someone else, it means absolutely nothing. It means nothing to my wife, never mind someone else in a business setting. So if I'm going there, I'm just going to bore someone. But if I take a genuine interest just about, personal life, not going too, deep or too personal, but just finding out a bit about them, people warm to you a lot more than they would if you're just talking about your business services or their business services. And I think that's really important. And I think that's something that we can learn from when we go networking, just to actually build real relationships, real potential friendships as well, because that's going to get you a lot further than just saying, here's my card, here's what I do. Buy me, pay me, give me money. It's not the same. So I think that thing about having a rapport with people is really important. That is something else that works for me. It might not work for you. It should work for you. But I think you're going to do a lot better if you find a way to connect with people. When I go to networking events, I don't massively want to hear... I'm going to pick on accountants for a second. Accountants, you're all wonderful. I know accountants. But I don't want to hear about what a great accountant you are. Maths doesn't massively excite me. Numbers don't massively excite me. But if you tell me about a movie that you've watched recently, or maybe even how you relate that to accounting, great. Mate, we've got something in common there. We've found a link to talk to each other and communicate. So that's really important. So along those lines of finding something in common with someone, I'm just going to tell you a few quick things about me, so that at least if we ever meet in person, or maybe if you're one of those people who ends up on the podcast, you know where I'm coming from. Like I said, in terms of personal hobbies, for a start, one of my big hobbies was video production. I like making films. I say was, it still is. It still is a hobby. I like video production. In my early 20s, like I said earlier, I got into a thing of making films with friends, making short comedies, just about anything, just silly stuff. This is kind of when YouTube was still a new thing, but just making short, hilarious, or dramatic films on a camcorder with cassettes in, and just making them for fun. That hobby I managed to turn into a career, which was great. It's a lot of fun. So essentially I say, I get to do my hobby for a living. I love that. It's great. So video production is one of my hobbies. Alongside that is also movies. I love going to the cinema. Like I say, when I first became self-employed, I found that my working hours of the day changed. So it just meant, right, I can now go to the cinema in the middle of the day, not when it's busy, when it's quiet, and I can enjoy a film without loads of people whispering or talking around me. It's great. I love movies. I love the cinema. I try and see maybe 60, 70 new films at the cinema each year, around 4 or 5 films a month. I love it. I love spending my time, and my wife also now loves that as well, kind of because she has to. But I love the movies. I actually love the movies. One of my favourite filmmakers is a guy called Christopher Nolan. You may have heard of him, you might not have. He made the recent Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Inception, Dunkirk, films like that. I love him. He's one of my inspirations. And, whilst I love filmmaking on the level that I do, where I make a lot of promotional videos, corporate videos, music videos, I film anything that's legal, pretty much. Whilst I love all of that, one of my big lifelong dreams would be to direct feature films, and to do that all the time. So I've actually already directed 2 feature films. One of them is called Together. It's actually on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel at Real Street Films. That was my first feature film. Directed it, produced it around 2012. And I've done another film called Immental, which you can find on Amazon Instant Video. I've turned this into a little promotional thing here, haven't I? Wow. So yeah, but I would love to do that full time. Talking about learning about from your failures, by the way, I'll just say this very, very quickly. I made this film called Together in 2010, 11, 12. At the time, I thought it was brilliant. I thought I'd conquered the world. I look back at it now and I think that was like my film school. I learned a lot, and looking back at that, there's a lot I would have done differently. I would have made a better film, but you learn from your mistakes. I appreciate everyone who helped me make that film. I appreciate the actors. I appreciate everyone who worked behind the scenes, but it was a lot of me doing everything. But I learned a lot from that. So just to put that out there, the level of my video production skills has changed since Together. If you happen to go watch that film, I'm just putting that out there. So movies is a hobby. I love football. If it's okay to have two football teams, I do. I'm a big Man United fan. I'm a big Manchester United fan, and you know, I've seen the glory days of Eric Cantona, Mark Hughes, Andy Cole, Paul Ince, Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs, Dennis Irwin, Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Peter Schmeichel. That's the team that I grew up with. Seen some wonderful times, you know, winning the Champions League, winning the treble in 1999. And things change, let's just say. You know, you have ups, you have downs. But I love football. I also support Bradford City. Bradford City are my local team. I've seen Bradford do some wonderful things. Seen us go up to the Premiership. Seen us come down again. But who knows? Who knows what will happen with them? So I love football. And I'll have a chat with anyone about football. I'm not a football fan who swears at the television or anything like that. My wife can attest to that. I'm quite easygoing when it comes to football. I don't go in moods for days. But I enjoy football. And one of the things I love about football is that I can be more or less anywhere. I can be in a bar, in a pub, watching a game of football, and I can strike up a conversation with someone else who's watching the game, because it's that thing of you then have a mutual interest and you can strike up a conversation. I love that about football. I don't like the yobbish culture. I don't like people fighting or hooliganism. I hate all of that stuff, but I enjoy football. So I love football. And I have lots of other hobbies that are maybe not interesting right now, but I might touch on them in future podcast episodes. So that is all I'm going to say, really. This episode was just a bit of an introduction to me, your host, and telling you a little bit about me. But like I say, you won't just be stuck with me in future episodes. Like I say, we'll have guests on. We'll have guests talking about business. We'll have guests talking about, you know, what works for them in life, how they juggle work and life, what they love, what they've learned over their years of their working lives, what mistakes they've made, what failures they've had, and how that's led them to successes. You know, the podcast is called So This Works. It's about what works for you. What works for you. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching this podcast. I am Marcus Lee, in case you've forgotten. If you want to find out a little bit more about what I do, you can visit my website, which is realstreet.co.uk. I'm going to put these things on the for the people watching the video. I'll put it on the page. For people watching audio, this is going on the video podcast. So, but I'll say it after to you. It's Real Street, REEL, street.co.uk. You can also find me at various social media places, like Twitter. You can find me at Real Street. Mine are all different, and I suppose a marketing person or a PR person would tell me to fix these. But on Twitter, I am Real Street. At Instagram, I am Real Street Films. On Facebook, it's Real Street Productions. And on YouTube, I have two YouTube channels. There's Real Street TV and there's also Real Street Films. I know they should all be one. It just didn't work out like that. But who knows? They might change over the years. Just want to say thank you again for listening. Stay tuned. We're going to have some great guests on for you. We're going to have some great insight. It's going to be something that I think you'll enjoy listening to. Very chilled out, very relaxed, very easygoing. Going to hear from some wonderful people. And hopefully you'll be inspired in your working, living journey to live better, to work smarter, and to enjoy yourself. So from me, thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to the podcast. I hope to engage with you again soon. If anything that I've said resonates with you, please drop me a line, drop me a message. You can contact me on my website. You can leave a comment on the video if you're watching this online. Thank you for taking part. Until next time, this has been So This Works. Take care of yourselves. Thank you. Well, you've made it this far, you've stuck it out to the very end, so thank you for watching this episode of So This Works. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, please leave a comment, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, please tell a friend about it, please share this video, and also hit that notification bell so that you're notified as soon as a new video has been released. If you'd like more information about this podcast, please check out the website sothisworks.co.uk. I hope that you will join me for a future episode, and until next time, take care of yourselves.